I have decided something. What have you decided? I have decided
that
when we're born, we have a mommy and daddy, right? And then when we grow up and get married, we have children of our own. And then our children grow up and get married and have children. And so on and so on. So it's very important and very fun also to learn.
Hey, y'all. This is Miranda, and you're listening to Interesting Sex, a podcast about who, how, where, and why we fuck. Also, I'm not that Southern. I just wanted to do that because it's my birthday. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear Miranda. Happy birthday to me. Feel free to send me messages on Instagram at Interesting Sex Podcast or email me or go to InterestingSexPodcast.com. Thank you. Subscribe, give me 5 stars, and say happy birthday. For my birthday, I decided to have on a fellow podcaster. I look up to this guy not because of the amount of people he's hooked up with, but that he's been making his podcast for 5 years every week. It's amazing. I haven't even got to 30 weeks yet, and this is a hard business, guys. So I want to give him my support. It's called the Manwhore Podcast. His name is Billy. It's really funny, and he talks to people that he's had sex with or hooked up with and about where things went wrong and what happened and what they thought and all sorts of stuff. So it's pretty bold. It's really funny. He's really cool, and I'm really lucky that he wanted to be on my show. So check him out at the Manwhore Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and I'll have some link to his social media in the show notes. So let's open our ears, our hearts, and our holes and give a nice warm welcome to Billy Procida.
Hello?
Hi, may I please speak to Billy?
Yeah, who's this?
This is Miranda calling from Interesting Sex.
Are you trying to sell me something?
No.
I'm good on my car insurance. I don't own a car. You guys can stop calling.
I'm going to sell you some sex stuff.
Oh, that could never get enough of it. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Hello.
Billy, hi, what's up?
Hi there.
How are you today?
Totally improvised phone call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't know this was going to happen. Thanks for being available.
I had no idea. You happened to catch me at a time where I had nothing to do for an hour and 15 minutes.
Yes. I can't believe that you answer your phone, too, to random numbers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Blocked, unknown, private, random. I just want someone to talk to me. I'm very lonely.
Aw. Do you think it's because, like, the more attention you get, the more attention you need?
I think it's just the more I hold myself up alone in my apartment, the more I realize I need other human interaction.
Aw. I thought you always got attention. So let's just start it. You are the host of Manwhore, the Manwhore Podcast.
Correct.
So you come across like you're always getting out there, but it sounds like you say you're alone.
Well, the last 6 months or so, I've been, my libido's been fluctuating, and so I haven't been out swiping every day or trying to find sex. Sex still finds me, but I'm not out prowling or cruising or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, outside of the sex stuff, I like to have human interactions that are non-sexual too.
Right.
So those ones are more difficult. Way easier to get laid than make friends, I find.
Yeah. One time I was like, I really want to get laid. I should really go out. And I was like, your chances of getting laid are actually probably higher if you just stay in and message some old people that you haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, the way the internet works these days, you just take it all from your home. Why go out?
Yeah, you have less chance of getting laid and actually having a good conversation with somebody at the bar.
Yeah, or Reddit or anything like that. Yeah,
I've never been on Reddit.
Oh, I highly recommend. There's so much fun stuff. I feel like a lot of Craigslist, when Sesta Fosta basically caused Craigslist to take down their personal section, a lot of that funky activity, a lot of that raunchiness migrated its way towards Reddit and FetLife, I feel. So I think there's a lot of the ads you see on Craigslist are now on Reddit.
Okay, I've got questions already, but let's just go ahead and let everybody know who you are, how you identify as a human, what your who you identify as sexually and who Billy is on the planet Earth.
Yeah, my name's Billy Procida, and I identify as sad. I'm Billy. I do a show called the Manwhore Podcast, and I am a straight guy, I guess. Gender's weird, but yeah, you can use boy stuff for me.
You were mentioning Craigslist.
Yeah.
You like to go on Craigslist and just find random shit and do it?
Craigslist is the best dating site. Seriously. It is. It was my favorite dating site. Where else could you show up for casual sex and leave with like an antique coffee table? You know, it's like, so
do you go through not the sex stuff and go through like the regular buy stuff and end up having sex, or you're going through sex stuff?
No, but I did answer a casting ad once that ended up being a sex thing.
That's so exciting. That's my favorite kind of porn.
Oh, the casting couch. Yeah, this is a woman who she was looking for penis wielders who wanted to participate in like an art project.
What's a penis wielder?
Like, yeah, dudes and people with a penis.
Okay.
I was trying to be inclusive.
Okay.
So she's seen like molds of dicks like externally, but she wanted to like make like indentation molds of penises, and was looking for people to do that. So, but she wanted to meet with them first for like a drink to like suss them out. So we met up and like all was well.
Is this a paid Craigslist job or just something that sounded cool?
Just something that sounded cool. And then we met for drinks and we talked, and she was like, okay, you seem like not like you're going to murder me and all that jazz. And we ended up having sex in an NYPD parking lot. That was fun.
Yeah.
And then later, like another time I went back to her apartment and we did the penis cast, the mold, and then had sex afterwards. But
nice.
That wasn't supposed to be a sex ad. That was supposed to just be like, hey, I just need a penis for an art thing.
Okay.
But I feel like a lot of art things that have penises can easily turn into sex things.
Yeah. Did you see the finished art project of all the penises, or do you think she's just collecting molds?
I have. Oh, that sounds creepy when you
what
say
if your
collecting
bathroom has
molds.
this like penises like poking out all the way up and down the walls?
Like, good for her,
Yeah.
She wants
of
to
all
decorate.
dicks she fucked,
Yeah, she wants to decorate however she decorates.
Yeah.
I did get a picture of what it ended up looking like, but I never got like a finished, like, oh, here's all this paint I added to it. I never saw that part.
Right.
I just saw like, oh, here's what it, ended up looking like.
Oh, your personal penis.
Yeah, and I was like, I swear it's bigger than that. So,
especially with the paper on top of it, you think that would have added a little bit.
Yeah, it was difficult staying hard through that. Oh my God, I just remembered that I did a different art one too, and I didn't even remember it until just now.
Wow.
You know
so
why?
You have two dick molds?
Yeah.
You didn't remember the other one because you didn't get laid?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was hard, but it was difficult to stay erect during both of them.
Right, because your penis needs to breathe probably. Is that getting any air?
Yeah, and like just like I would get hard, but then by the time we like laid me out to put my dick, then it softened up. Then it was it's difficult. It's not like it didn't work. It's just I was not at my full presentation.
Right, but also it's probably kind of cold, that like paper mache kind of stuff. It's not like it's like warm.
The cold thing's not going to like make me go soft so instantly.
Right.
But yeah, no, I totally forgot about the other one. That one I was dipping. So the first one, I just dipped my dick into like a flat surface. The other one, I had to squat I had to dip my dick downward into like a canister. Alone with no assistance. Yeah.
Okay, so you like to have sex parties.
Yeah, I like sex parties. They're fun.
I mean, who doesn't like sex parties? I've never been to a sex party, but it's hard to know if you like it. Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to come by.
Yeah, come up to New York.
It's just a train ride away.
Yeah.
So when was let's go back into little Billy's life. When did you first know you were a whore?
Probably the first time someone, called me one. My freshman year, my sophomore year of college, I started looking on Craigslist more seriously to meet up with people and wanting to experiment stuff. I figured that my, philosophy was going to be, let's try everything twice. Yeah, it was fun because, like, when you're in New York City, though, like, you don't have to just fuck fellow college people. You can go outside and fuck millions of other people who are real people.
Yeah.
And,
I feel like more often than not, I would just meet people at bars and stuff.
Exactly, because we didn't, like, go to, like, the local college hang. We didn't, like, have dorm parties as much. Right. You just went to a bar.
Right.
So I frequently would hook up with older women. But, again, hooking up with a 27-year-old at 19 is, like, older. Like, I brought home a 27-year-old, and when she left, the 3 other roommates poked their heads out of one of the other room's door, and like on top, like stacked on top of each other, like it was like a fucking
like
Three Stooges movie. Yeah, it was like pow pow pow, and they were like, Billy, she was 27. What are you doing? She's so old. I was like, all right, but yeah, no. My sophomore year was when I became single because I had a girlfriend all of monogamously during my freshman year, and so I was like, let's just go find stuff. And, like, I just would see these Craigslist ads, and they were always so interesting. And I also realized, if I'm comfortable with another penis in the room, I can answer more types of ads, which only increases my chances of getting my dick sucked. So I would answer, like, couples for a guy, couples for multiple men, a woman for multiple men. Once in a while, there'd be, like, 2 women looking for a guy to, like, be their, sperm donator the natural way. I don't know if that was ever real, but, that's an ad you would see.
Did you ever answer those? Do you think do you have babies out there?
No, I answered them. We never ended up doing it.
Okay.
But I would see that ad often. I'd always look for it because, like, yeah, I'm down. Like, that seems hot and fun.
Yeah. Until, like, 15 years later when some 15-year-old is knocking at your door, like, Dad?
Yeah, and me with, like, my fancy HBO special I will surely have would be like, what? So yeah, I was just trying it all out.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was like, I'm a whore now, but it was more like, I'm going to try a lot of stuff because I'm in the biggest city in the country. And so there are just endless opportunities and experiences and people with different interests, and there was a lot to try.
So were you able to get good grades still?
Yeah, I did all right. I think I graduated with 3.3.
Okay. What did you study?
Media and communications. But I started stand-up my sophomore year of college, so I would ditch class early sometimes so I could just go sign up for an open mic,
Okay. Nice.
So I was really focused on the jokes.
Right. Did you do a lot of sex jokes from your experiences?
Yeah, sadly, when you're like 19, 20, 21, it's like, what do you really have to talk about? Like, I talked about drinking and sex and family because at that time, all I'd done was drank, had some sex, and, was part of a family.
Yeah. Yeah. So I heard from your podcast that I love it, by the way. It's very entertaining.
Thank you.
That you keep a log of all the people that you've had sex with.
I have a list of everyone I've made out with, yeah. Anyone I've done anything with.
Like, when did you start writing that down?
Oh, this is depressing. In high school, was so undesirable and self-conscious and unsuccessful with women that I had, like, this list of the girls I would have a crush on, and then inevitably there'd be an X next to it when they would shut me down.
Aww.
So it started off as a crushes and it started off as a failures list, and then as like once in a blue moon someone would make out with me and there'd be like a check mark, and then eventually women actually started being interested in me enough in college that there was really no need for the sadder names because they were finally being outweighed. So yeah, and then it just started, and then I just kept it up out of habit.
Right. Do you keep it on like the notes part of your phone now, or do you like have a piece of paper?
No, there's a little document on my computer, and and then that's just what it is. So it's like a list of all the names in order and like what act we did. So like it like going by the bases system.
Okay.
And then like whatever.
Do you do like sloppy thirds and stuff, or in sloppy seconds, or you just do first, second, third?
I have a 1 for making out, 2 is for like hand stuff, 3 for oral, and 4 for penis in the vagina. And then I will add like a plus RJ if some rimming was involved. Because, you know, those women deserve like an extra,
right?
You know, a little asterisk to say this one was special. She licked my butthole.
Okay. Is there like a 5 for anal, or?
I don't think I've ever only had anal with someone because I'm not a big anal guy.
Okay.
Like, I will fuck someone.
But I feel like that
ass.
should get a plus also. But if that's not your thing, maybe it should get a minus, like 4 minus.
Right. I also usually can just remember if I've fucked so few butts that I can remember the butts I fucked.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you love a rim job.
Oh, I love getting rimmed. Jeez. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Do you rim other people?
No, not a fan of that.
Okay.
My
so you
one
don't
double,
return that favor.
My one double standard. I have licked 3 buttholes, I think, or 2. Maybe just 2, and I was in love with both of those buttholes.
Okay.
Well, I was in love with the people attached to the buttholes, so I was willing to try that. But, yeah,
Right.
I'm not the biggest fan of...
Right. You don't like to stick your dick in a butthole, but do you put your finger in there sometimes?
I mean, like, I do if I'm preparing to put my dick in there. Like, it's not that I don't fuck ass. It's like, it's just my 3rd favorite hole.
Right.
Like, I will fuck someone in the ass when she asks me really nicely to fuck her in the ass. But
Right.
it's not what I'm not going to naturally go like, oh, I want to fuck this person in the ass.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. You started getting into sex parties.
Yeah.
Did that start from Craigslist?
Yeah, so I answered an ad for a bukkake, as one does.
Right. And I just learned what that meant.
Oh, that's
pretty
so precious.
recently, right? So in case my listeners don't know, it's when a bunch of people come on you at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I answered an ad for bukkake, and I went to it, and it ended up not being a bukkake. Like, I got roped into a threesome that I didn't want to be a part of, because it was like, I didn't want to be a part of this threesome. I wanted to be a part of like a bunch of dudes getting blown by this chick. And then I show up, and I guess there were no other dudes, just this couple. So I was like, all right. And the reason I was like, all right, is because like neither of them were very attractive.
Right.
But for me, it's like, if I'm not into the person, I need to be into the scene. I was into the scene, like a bukkake scene. I was not into a more intimate threesome with these unattractive people.
Right.
But whatever.
And then you found yourself there, and you didn't want to be rude.
Yeah. So like, yeah, sure. I will put my cock in your mouth. I'm trying to be polite. So I went to that, and then he invited me back to more that were actual bukkakes, where there were actual people there. And so I would do those a lot, and he would keep inviting me because he was like, oh, you're well behaved, you're cute, and like you know, you're not weird. And I was like, all right, thank you.
You're well behaved.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because when I'm organizing something, or someone's like asking for a recommendation for someone for some sort of group sex experience, like I'm going to recommend the guys who showed up. They were respectful. They were still hot. Like, they weren't shy respectful. They were respectful while they were being, you know, dominant or fun or sexy.
They weren't being like creepy and like pervy on without permission.
Exactly. But then on the other side of that coin, if you're too respectful, where like you're almost basically nervous, that can also, you know, it's not that it's weird. It's just like it throws off a vibe. It's not sexy, and then you don't want that end of it. So anyways, this guy had he had a birthday orgy, and he invited me to it, and it was being thrown by a local sex party community. I got the email or whatever for it. I was supposed to go. I woke up sick that day, so I didn't go. But
dang.
Yeah, it was fine. But like that got me on the email list for this sex party community. And then like several months later, I finally went to my first one, and it was really fun, and I had a good time, and I just kept going.
Yeah. Were your college friends like, bro, take me?
Well, I didn't start. My first sex party wasn't until after college.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you from New York?
From North Jersey.
Okay. I can hear it in your voice.
Yeah. No, my first sex party I was 23 or 24. I was 24.
Okay. And now it's just like something that you want to have in your life always?
I mean, I don't need it. It's not like a thing where if I don't have it, I'm going to be sexually unfulfilled. But I enjoy going. Like, I usually don't miss a party if I can, if I'm healthy or if I'm in town. So, like, I usually go to a sex party about once a month.
Okay.
I mean, this is New York City. You could go to fucking 5-10 parties a month if you really wanted to. That just sounds both exhausting and expensive to me.
Oh, do you pay to go to sex parties?
Yeah, there's usually an admission. Yeah.
Right. Because they have to buy like all sorts of
condoms and lubes, and also, this community like has, they do make money, but they also put it into a lot of programming and sex ed workshops, and the space that they have is really dope. So
right.
They also don't overcharge. Like, it's a manageable price. So it's all.
How much is a sex party?
The one I go to is usually like $75 to $85.
Okay.
Per person, and that's it. Like, it's not. It doesn't matter your gender or orientation or if you're in a couple or not. It's really just people, which I really like.
Is this place Hacienda that you always talk about?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So that's like a bar place?
No, it's just an intentional sex positive community in New York, and they also throw sex parties. Okay.
And then you now throw parties for other people?
Sometimes, yeah. I just organized. I organized 3 gangbangs in January.
3 gangbangs in January.
I guess that's my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a friend who I don't even have sex with. This friend, she wanted a gangbang, so I threw her a gangbang because she just knew I could make that happen. And then I posted. I used Reddit to recruit the guys. Then I posted a success story on Reddit. And what happened was I had women contact me saying, that was so hot. That's my fantasy too. Can you make it happen for me?
Right.
So then I threw a couple more, and I'm posting success stories for those as well. And then more people will contact me. So now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I need to be compensated for my time.
Yeah.
This is not my fantasy.
Right.
I'm just, I can make it happen, but it's not something that I get off on.
Right.
Yeah.
But you should totally charge people for that to make sure that they're having a safe sexual experience. That's a lot of work.
If anyone listening wants to pay me a fantasy fulfillment fee, hit me up. We'll talk. Yeah,
there's one of my first episodes, Icy London. She's this hot burlesque dancer in Seattle, and that's like one of her bucket list scenarios is like a gangbang.
Oh, I'd love to make that happen for her.
Yeah, I'm going to let her know.
Yay.
To contact you. You have beautiful blue eyes.
Oh, thank you.
You probably hear that every day of your life.
Yeah, ever since I was a chubby little kid, that was the only compliment I would get for a while.
And it's annoying because you didn't do anything for them, Yeah.
It's also annoying because it was like, girls in high school would come up to me and be like, yo, Billy, you got pretty eyes. I was like, cool, you want to go out? And they'd be like, oh, no, you're still, like, gross and undesirable.
Oh.
We just didn't know if you knew you had a positive attribute, so we wanted to let you know.
Aww.
Yeah.
So tell everybody what your show is about and what you do on your show.
So I started my show 5 years ago talking to women I've hooked up with about sex, dating, and why we didn't work out. I had this weird problem where women would sleep with me, but they wouldn't date me. And I wanted to find out why, because I wanted a relationship, I wanted love, I wanted a girlfriend. But every time I wanted to escalate the relationship, it was always the woman who told me she wanted to just keep it casual, which is odd to me because a lot of times when that happens, the relationship the fucking ends. They go okay, somebody wants something more emotionally, and I don't want that, so this is over because it would be weird if we kept banging. But these women would just be like, yeah, no, you still need to come over and do that thing that I like that you do. And I would just be like, okay.
Right.
And this is back when I was all through college and in my early 20s. It was a recurring pattern. So when it happened for the umpteenth time, I was like, let's just ask these women themselves. And so I started doing that. And then I've now also been featuring various sex educators, porn stars, sex workers, queer performers, dating experts, feminist icons, etc. So it's been a pretty fun ride.
That's cool. So is there like a common thread that you've been finding on why people stopped wanting to hang out with you as a boyfriend?
That's the thing. They never wanted to stop hanging out with me, and they didn't want me to be their boyfriend. They wanted to keep having sex. They just didn't want to be my girlfriend.
So you think you're pretty good in bed?
I mean, they tell me I'm pretty good in bed.
Okay.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you say you're good in bed, then you're not good in bed.
Okay.
I did an episode once where like we did oral sex auditions for my frustrated female friend, and we arranged 5 men to like go down on her at particular audition times.
Oh my God, this is my dream, Billy.
Oh yeah. So the guys would have like 12 minutes to use tongues and fingers only, penis stays in the pants.
This is amazing.
Yeah. And then we would do like pre-game, post-game interviews. One of the guy who ended up being the worst, of course, was the one who referenced himself as being a sex god. Because like as soon as he said it, it's like, oh, this guy's going to be terrible. And there's actual audio of her going like, ow, to the left. Ooh, no, stop, slow down, wait.
That's so funny.
I put a little microphone in the room with them so I could like use some of those noises. But when he was in there, it was a lot of frustration. So yeah, I have been complimented about certain things in bed, but like I will not sit here and say like, oh, I'm fantastic.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so I started the show because I, was having trouble having a romantic relationship.
Yeah, but what was the answer? Like, thus mostly that people aren't into you relationship wise.
Well, of course, the common answer is that there is no answer. It's not like there was a particular thing. A big part of it was just simply like I was in my 20s, like I was in my early 20s, and maybe I just needed to be patient.
Yeah. So you're made a whole career out of taking a wild goose chase, trying to figure out the answer to nothing.
Yeah, I'm just professionally bad at dating. There's some stuff like I'm very argumentative and stubborn. So there's like this need to be right that I've been working on. I can be condescending with younger partners, but in my defense, it's hard not to condescend to a 23-year-old. They're 23. I don't care what their gender is. You're 23. You don't know much. Right. That's just how life works. I also didn't.
But you're not trying to be their boyfriend either.
I was not now, but before there was a time in my life where that was a little bit more closer to my age.
Right.
Yeah, there isn't like a single thread, but I have been learning. It's not that I've been learning a lot about myself dating. I've been learning just a lot about myself doing the show. So like learning about this argumentative nature I have and how it's like actually kind of unhealthy and all that. That's something I've been learning about. Learning how to like respond to criticism, which I think is also a very important relationship skill. If your partner comes to you and says, hey, you said this or you do this, it makes me feel this way. Being able to respond to that criticism is important because if you respond with just, no, I don't, now you're just going to have a fight. But if you can be a little bit more open to a different, observation, like that can be really valuable. So it's stuff like that I've been learning.
Yeah.
I've also learned how to slide into DMs on Instagram. That's a newer thing.
What does that mean?
Oh, you don't know what slide into DMs it means?
I know DM is a direct message.
Right. You don't know people. Oh, honey, it goes down in the DMs. That's where it happened.
No, I don't know. I called them IMs until like a couple months ago.
You've never had people like start trying to flirt with you privately, like in the DMs?
Yeah, like once or twice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a fun
what that
thing.
means.
Yeah, that's what that means.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's like a singular answer. I mean, it would be a lot easier if it was, but I think like 10 weeks into the show, I recorded with someone, and then her husband came by later, and then we were just like chatting. I was telling him about the show concept, and then he at the time was like 40, and so he just said, "Hey, dude, can I pull rank on you?" And he was like, "Just don't worry about it. You're 24. Like, just have fun. Yeah. It'll happen." And it was true, because I have since had a couple of girlfriends since I started the podcast. I've had other meaningful connections, and I've just like learned how to, be in those.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Do you have a favorite sex party that you've been in?
Like a particular night, you mean? Or like,
yeah, I went kind of like a description of a really fun sex party and like what goes down and how it happens.
Manwhore Con last year was dope. We had like
you had your own con?
Oh yeah, I have a weekend we do in New York City every year.
That's
where
so cool.
Yeah,
you're
really
so cool.
Stop it. You do a sex podcast, it automatically makes you cool.
But I'm such a nerd.
So am I.
I guess it makes sense. And we're both NYU nerds.
Yeah. So I do a weekend every year where listeners travel from around the country and then like they buy a weekend pass and we do a bunch of fun, cool shit. And one of those things is an after party after one of my live podcasts. It's like an exclusive after party at this like condo. And just last year, we basically made a rule where it was like no genitals in the living room before midnight. And it turned into a full on orgy. It's really something special when you can watch your fans fuck each other. That was pretty dope. Yeah, that's my favorite sex party was the Manwhore Con sex party, for sure.
Yeah.
Because not only did I get to, I received, a lot of blowjobs, but I got to, watch... Like I said, I got to watch fans fuck each other, but what's even more beautiful is, the next day when we were at Shake Shack together, a lot of people were sharing, Billy, that was, really... Yes, that was hot, but that was really important for me because that was my first time being naked in front of other people. Or that was my first group sex experience. Or that was my first time, a dude being that's my first time making out with another man. It's so it was really cool to see people also kind of just try new things in what they felt like was a safe environment. And I'm glad that I could provide a safe environment.
Yeah.
But it was also just really fun. Really fun.
Yeah. Okay. But I want you to walk me through a sex party that you would go to, people are just hanging out and having drinks and then people just get naked and there's a group of 7 people. What,
yeah, I mean, pretty much like that. It's to me, the types of play parties I like to go to are the ones that feel like a regular house party, but people are also fucking.
Okay.
I don't want to go to a sex club where it's dingy and dirty and there's, a lot of just hungry, thirsty dudes who are very grabby because they paid $200, $300 to get in. I don't want that. I want a bunch of people hanging out, having a good time. And some of us are going to be hanging in this corner fully clothed with a drink talking about football. And 10 feet from us, there's going to be 3 people going down on each other.
Right.
That's really fun to me.
Do you follow the kind of rule where it's the women are supposed to approach the men in those scenarios? No,
that's pretty inherently sexist.
I've heard about parties that are like that just so women feel safer and they take the guys aren't allowed to approach them. They get to go talk to people first.
Sure, but at the same time, that inherently is really hetero because, okay, well, the type of party I tend to go to more queer parties, even though I'm not queer myself. That's just the environment that I'm more comfortable in.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to have a rule like that. Just like why the parties I go to, it's hard to have a gendered price structure because, you have these tiered price structures single men pay this much, couples pay this much, women get in for free or for cheap, right? But that's just to manage a ratio. But if it's a queer space, the ratio will work itself out because different people are into different people and parts, so it doesn't really matter. That rule is just not necessary where I am. It might be necessary for other parties. It might be necessary in a place that doesn't have a lot of sex positive education around them and a lot of people are still learning about consent culture. Maybe they need a rule like that to make the women feel comfortable. The parties I go to, it's just a blanket consent policy. A lot of just don't touch people without asking, real simple. You want to give someone a hug who you don't know, be hey, are you a hugger? You can just be hey, can I give you a hug? That's easy. Stuff like that. So, no, I don't prescribe to that rule, but that rule might be really appropriate for different parties. You got to figure out what's best for your community.
Right.
At the one we had at Manwhore Con, it was just please don't touch people without asking first. Basic shit. Other ones can get more intense, and they'll be like, if you want to touch someone on the shoulder, you need to ask first. Just depends on what you're trying to do.
Right. And I guess also, like, say you are a female, but, like, you want to be asked, you know, instead of, like, having to approach somebody. Say you identify more submissively or something. Wouldn't it be very fun to have to go find somebody and ask them to...
Exactly. So it just depends on the environment and who's going to that party. If everyone really knows a lot about consent, you probably don't need that rule. If it's an environment where pretty much everyone there is still kind of new to swinging or whatever, maybe you need something like that to make everyone comfortable. You just got to figure out what works for you and your community.
When you like to get your butthole licked, do you like them to try to put the tongue inside of it also? Or you just like it on the outside?
I don't really care, but I don't think that part is as necessary.
Okay. So if people are like trying to like overdo it and really put their tongue in there, like they didn't have to do that?
They didn't have to, but it's still going to feel good.
Okay.
But it's not going to feel so good that like the whole thing is ruined without it. So I don't want the make or break of you licking my ass to be, well, I don't want to put my tongue in your asshole, so I'm not going to do it at all. It's like, no, we can work with this. Come back.
Right. And are you pretty good about showering before this happens?
I am always showered and shaved back there.
Okay.
I'm pretty much always prepared to have my ass licked just in case someone's offering, because you never know when it's going to happen.
Right.
And you never want to have to turn it down.
Do you keep like towelettes in your like pocket or your wallet?
I really should.
You should, like the ones at the restaurant after you eat lobster. Those little packets, you should just have a couple of those. So if it's going to happen, you can just like take a quick.
Not a bad idea.
I'm always thinking, I want you to get the most pleasure possible. And as enjoying butt licking, do you ever get pegged?
No, things can go in my butt. That's fine. I'm saving pegging for someone special because like I have really nothing left to give someone new.
Right.
And so I want to be able, it's also a more intimate experience because like there's a strapping on, there's a grabbing, there's a thrust. It just feels like, okay, let's just save that for someone more intimate, maybe someone I'm in love with.
Right. Do you think you could love me, Billy?
You like pegging?
No, I never done it.
It's not something I'm going to just try casually.
But if it's like a challenge to make you love me so I can do it, then I'm in.
I think if my last two relationships had extended just a little bit longer, they would have happened, but sadly not.
Right.
Because they both totally wanted to do it, and they both like used, fingers and toys in me. They just hadn't had a harness.
Right.
Basically, it's like you're allowed to put stuff in my butt. Just take the dildo off the harness and then do that.
Right. How long has your longest relationship been?
21 months.
Okay. Do you count relationship like baby ages?
I mean, that's, I feel like after 2 years, it was just shy of 2 years. So I didn't want to say 2 years. I've had two girlfriends. I've had two girlfriends in my like adult non-college life. I've had four if you count 8th grade. My longest one was almost 2 years. I had one that was a little over a year in college. And then I had, last year I dated somebody for like 3 months. Very seriously.
So when you have a girlfriend, in my head, it's still like, because I'm new into this whole like kink and fun world, it doesn't mean monogamous.
I am not a monogamous person. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that ever cause issues when you start having a girlfriend?
Well, I mean, I haven't had a girlfriend very often. So like both the ones I've met have been like, I met them through poly spaces. One of my relationships ended in part because it turned out she wasn't poly, but that's just something she kind of discovered over the course of the relationship.
Right. She wanted you to herself.
It's a little more nuanced than that because she still enjoyed going to play parties and group stuff and kink. Okay. But she did learn that it was not what she thought, and that's fine. It just, it was a major factor in the relationship ending. Right. But yeah, no, if anything, it's an easy filter because I know I'm not going to be monogamous, which doesn't mean I'm not serious, right? Like, you can be non-monogamous and super serious about dating. I just, like, if I tell somebody that, I put that in, like, my dating profile. So like if someone sees me on Bumble, if they, are not into monogamy, they're going to unmatch me or not want to meet up. And that's fine. We both just saved each other, 1 to 3 hours.
Right. Or 1 to 3 years.
Oh, no, we'll never get that long.
Right.
Never get that far. The idea is just like save me a lot of first dates that aren't going to work.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, is it something that non-monogamy for you is like you could have a relationship and then just go to sex parties, or you need to be dating as well?
I think a relationship is whatever you want it to be. You just have to communicate that with each other, settle on the terms of the relationship. It would be great if monogamous people would do that too, because
I agree.
Yeah,
I hear
everyone
about
should
these
have
things.
Right, yeah. Like, you shouldn't be monogamous by default. You should be monogamous, like, because you chose it.
Right.
You should never assume that. When you say, like, okay, you're my girlfriend now, you're my boyfriend now, great. What the fuck does that mean? Yeah. Sit down and say, this is what this means to me. This is what this means to me. And then figure out what it's going to mean for you two. Because I think a relationship is whatever 2 or 3 or 4 or 12 people want that one relationship to be.
Right. Yeah, because when I've been talking to a lot of people that are like in DS, dom submissive relationships and stuff, they usually have some sort of like agreement of what's going to be like the outline of what their relationship is supposed to look like. And I'm like, that's really rad. Like, why don't like regular everyday couples have some sort of conversation about what they expect from each other and their relationship? I feel like not many people do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, no, a lot of people, I think they just hear, well, now we're going to be serious, or we're going to, we're going to make it Facebook official, and then they think that means monogamous. But if you never said that's what you're expecting, right, then don't be mad if somebody didn't follow that rule.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, sure. What does your ideal relationship look like, though, with a partner? Like, what would your dream be?
Somebody who wants me around. That's good start. I don't know, like just someone I really click with, and someone who makes me laugh, and someone who really enjoys having sex, and people who understand my issues, and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, no, I don't really know what it looks like. I know what it feels like. Right. I don't really know what it looks like, because I think those feelings can just present themselves in different ways. Yeah.
Are people pretty safe at sex parties, like condom-wise and stuff?
Well, everything is whatever you want to negotiate, right? Okay. Like your sexual health and your level of safety is something you have to advocate for. So there are condoms everywhere. A lot of people use condoms. I use condoms, but there are also people who are fluid bonded, or they're little polycules, or maybe they have their own little network.
Polycules?
Yeah, like maybe a group of people who like either are all dating each other or dating each other through different connections. Like they're all somehow connected. I have a partner out like on the West Coast who, for a while, she was part of like a network that was all fluid bonded together, and they had like a big agreement amongst these like roughly 7 or 8 people, where it was like, we use condoms outside of this network. Within the network, we don't have to use condoms because we all have been tested and trust each other and things like that. I was like tangentially attached to that. Like I was in the network, but it was only for when I was seeing her physically, because like I live on a different coast. Yeah. So it was a little less serious for me, because basically I could just be like, can you just go get like a test done before I come over? And then I would do the same. And but yeah, no, so there's stuff like that. So if you see people not using condoms at a play party, like that was most likely an active decision made by both people who were like, yeah, this is fine. Yeah. But if you want to use condoms, like, and somebody tries to not use condoms, you just be like, oh, I use condoms. And then they're like, oh, I will go get a condom. Or, oh, I don't want to have sex with condoms, so we will not have sex. Right. Or, oh, I don't want to do that, but how about we do this? Oh, I don't really like having sex with condoms, but how about I eat your pussy? You can negotiate. You can counter offer. That's right. I think the great thing about open communication with sex is you guys can be whatever you want to be, whatever you're in the mood for. I'm not always in the mood to fuck. I just had somebody leave here who she wasn't feeling well last night, and she was horny this morning, but I was not feeling like sexy and horny myself. So did not fuck, but if she were not on her period, I would have been like, but how about like I eat your pussy? Because like that I could be in a mindset for. And yeah, that's the great thing. Just, say what you want, advocate for yourself when someone proposes something you don't want. Right. Yeah, sex and dating can be a lot easier if we all just fucking talk to each other. But apparently that's so goddamn terrifying. So
yeah. Is there any point in time that you would decline a rim job?
Yeah, if I didn't feel clean.
Okay. But you don't have like a certain like kind of person that you're not into. Like pretty much you give anyone a chance.
I mean, I'm not really into dudes, so that's one bit. And then
but it's not like you're looking at them.
I mean, it's not like, oh, anyone can give me a rim job, but it's like, I would let more people lick my ass than I would fuck. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm more open-minded when it comes to that.
Yeah. So I've heard you mention before that you are a beta male.
Have I said that?
Yeah, I've heard it like 3 times.
I feel like I get called that, but yeah, sure. Okay. Why not?
Yeah, well, it's like I found it interesting because I've always heard of people. I know like beta is like, alpha is like the strong, like take control type. And then I was just like never really heard anybody like refer to themselves as like beta. So what does that like kind of mean to you?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm not like a manly man. I'm not like I'm not like a grrr man, but like I also like football. Right. I cry during most movies, but I don't know. Pick another man thing. I don't really know. I just get called beta because I got picked on and teased a lot. So I'm like, I guess that's what it is. I also like a dominant woman, okay. But I also switch it up. Like I can switch. Like I can be a service top. I've done that a lot. I just need to know that that's what they're into, and then I can do that. But for me, I'm topping because I am like servicing. Because I'm topping because I know that's what they want. I want to give her what she wants, and therefore I'm topping. Right.
Okay. Yeah, because I have heard you talk about that. Like you're like, if somebody wants you to like hit them, and you're like, I don't know if I'm doing this hard enough, but like you're doing it because they want you to. But that's like not not what you would go to normally.
Not my natural inclination. Again, unless I can just tell that that's what they like, then that's what I'll do. But again, it's all just because I'm like, I want to do what they like because I figure I will come eventually. Right. Let's figure out her deal.
Right. So you don't do a lot of like BDSM and kink stuff in your life. You're just more of just like to have as much sex as possible.
Yeah, it's weird because like most people wouldn't call me vanilla. But I associate vanilla with doesn't do BDSM. Right. So, but I know that's not the case. But yeah, I don't really do a lot of kink, but I also do a lot of pretty wild, freaky shit sometimes. So it's like, people can call that whatever it is. I just call it Billy. Yeah.
Do you have any fun sex stories that you'd like to share with us?
Gosh, you'll have to be a little more specific.
I don't know. Sometimes before bucket list, I like to just see if there's anything that's like fun that you want to share that's a good story.
Well, that's the weird thing about bucket list is like I feel like there really isn't much left on my. I don't really think there is a lot left on my sexual bucket list because like I feel like I've done it all, or I've done it all to some variety or extent. Like there's still scenes in my head, but it doesn't mean I haven't done something like that. It's just more like, oh, I want to do that in this way now. Right. Like I love stranger play. And so at Manwhore Con, I think what I want to do is I'm really, really leaning into possibly having this set up for the the after party / play party, whatever, is I want to get some sort of box, like some sort of contraption made that has like, I envision it as their openings with like a little mini curtain as opposed to like holes, but like there's an opening like by my mouth and then by my cock. And then like, I guess, there'll be some sort of thing maybe to indicate if I need to get on my knees or like turn around and bend over. I haven't worked it all out yet. But I want a thing where like maybe people are lined up and then just basically they choose what's going to happen. Like if they want to make out with me, they'll start making out with me. If they want to do something with my dick, they can reach my dick. If they want to put hand me a condom through the hole, they'll put that on and have sex with what comes in front of me. But then I have like a little air horn to stop whatever to basically say next. So that could be instantly, because maybe I'm like, oh, this is a dude with a big beard. This is definitely not the way this is going to happen. So I'm just going to go like this. But technically, like I'll give everyone a chance to use me in a way.
That's pretty great.
And then by being in this contraption, like I am literally just for someone's use. And, you know, I guess there's like dehumanizing aspects to that. But like for me, it's more like, oh, I get to be of service and like I'm going to get touched and licked and kissed and fondled or fucked or whatever. And that seems really exciting. So I want to get that probably done up. So I'll probably, and that's the thing. It's like a lot of fantasies that people have. I don't think they realize that like you can make those happen. These gangbangs that I organized, these were women who reached out to me being like, oh, I just figured this would never happen, or that these don't happen in real life because they seem scary and intimidating and dangerous to organize. But like there are responsible, safe ways to organize almost any fantasy. You just have to figure out what is the safe way to do this.
Right.
There's also like ways that are objectively safe, but they may not feel safe because like your experience as a woman is going to be different. So I could tell you, oh, I've arranged all of this, and you may not feel safe, even though you will 100% objectively be safe. But yeah, so like there's a lot of ways to combat that as well. And so like whatever your fantasy, like I tell people, go do it. And you know, if you're not sure how to do it, the porno way, like think about how can I achieve these same feelings and sensations in an environment that makes me more comfortable.
Yeah. Back to stranger play.
Yeah.
So how long does, like, say you meet somebody at a bar?
That's not stranger play to me.
Okay. Because I'm
Stranger
like, how
play,
long do you have to talk to somebody before they're not a stranger anymore?
Introducing each other. That's, you know, like, I mean, I genuinely mean for me, stranger play is not like, oh, I hooked up with someone, like a one-night stand.
Right.
It's not like, oh, I matched with someone and I met them for drinks that night. I mean, like, we just got to it with someone I don't know.
Okay.
Like,
so how do you find that to happen? Like, that's mostly internet style?
Oh, it's 100% internet style. Yeah. So, I mean, like, I was in San Francisco last year, and I matched with someone on a particular app, and I proposed. I couldn't host because I was at my sister's. She couldn't host at her place, so I proposed, like, what about a park? And she was like, yeah, I'd be down. So, like, I went online. I literally Googled, like, parks you can have sex in the Bay Area. Picked one that was like kind of in between us, and then I like went to this park and I like sat on the bench. I took my dick out and I started stroking it, and I waited until eventually this like car pulled out, and she got out of the car and walked over to me, and like she didn't like say a whole bunch of stuff. She just like got on her knees and started sucking my dick. And then eventually, like, you know, I took her, you know, she had a skirt on, so like I, you know, pulled her skirt up and then I ate her pussy and then bent her over the table and we had sex like just right in this park. And then she drove me back to San Francisco. Like we got to know each other afterwards, but we didn't like do extensive chitter chatter. It was really like, how can we get our genitals near each other soonest? Here's the logistics. What if the person doesn't look like how you thought they were look, or it doesn't really matter when it's a stranger? It's kind of just the excitement of it all. It could be both. I mean, it just depends how I'm feeling and what the situation is. If I showed up to something and I was just like not attracted to that person, and the scene, you know, I'll just be like, you know what, actually, like I'm out, or you can just walk away. Yeah. Because you don't know that person. Yeah. People are like, what? A lot of people will act like all this weird sex stuff has to be like perpetual consent. It's like, no. If I don't want to do something anymore, I can walk away. If you don't want to do something, you can walk away. When people ask about sex parties, like, wait, so does that mean I have to have sex with everyone at the party? It's like, fucking no. Like, I mean, unless you want to, then and they want to. But you know, it's all the best parties are going to be consent driven. So you can go to a sex party and not have sex with anyone. Right. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to try to have sex with everybody. You just got to be respectful and, again, you know, obtain consent. Yeah. So, yeah, in a case where someone showed up for a stranger play scene and I wasn't into it, I would just, like, leave. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but people are always, like, I don't know if it's because, like, I'm a female that people are like, you can't really just have somebody over to your place because it's dangerous or whatever. It's not as dangerous. It depends on what you define as dangerous. Like, some people would say if you have a 1% chance of you have to wear a blindfold to cross the street. If you cross the street, you're going to get this prize. You fill in the blank of what that prize is, doesn't matter. It could be a turkey sandwich or $1 million or the love of your life. You pick. But to cross the street, you have to put on a blindfold and make your way across the street. And there's a 5% chance you'll die. Right? And then that's the risk reward people are gonna take. I think 5% is really fucking low. I think those are really good odds. I'm a gambler. 5% to die versus the huge payoff of this. That's a risk worth taking. Some people or some women may go, that's not, like, if it was 5% chance you're gonna get raped, that becomes your choice if that's a risk reward you want to go through. And some are gonna go through that, some don't. Some would argue that literally walking outside, you risk being murdered just because you're a woman.
Right.
Does that mean you're going to not go outside? Some people don't go outside. And some people say the reward to this minuscule risk is all this reward here, so I'm going to take that risk. So that is something that you have to weigh in your head. Just like I am not impervious to gunshots and stab wounds. So I have to weigh the risk of, like, I might show up and really this is a crazy person who wants to murder me. Is that possible? Yes. What's the likelihood of it? Very fucking tiny. So for me personally, that's a risk I'll take for that reward, but everyone's got to make that risk reward decision in their head. Right. And that's whether it's a stranger play, going to a bar one night, or, walk into the grocery store.
Right.
There's some people who won't walk outside at night in Manhattan because they're nervous, and probably because they're new to New York, but they're just like, they've heard things, right? And so they'll be like, I don't know, it might be dangerous to walk to your place 10 blocks away in Manhattan, the safest fucking place you could be. Some people won't take that risk. What's the risk? I literally don't see a risk. But some people will be like, there exists a risk and therefore I can't. But then again, it's like, you know what, like having sex, there's no such thing as safe sex when it comes to, say, STDs. There's just safer sex. You will never, 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 never be 100% guaranteed to not get an STD if you engage in sexual activity. It's just not, there is just that risk. And then you have to decide if it's worth that risk.
And it is.
Yeah, well, yeah, for you, for me, and for someone else, it might not be. Right. And if they want to make an illogically, abstinent decision, they are allowed to, because it's their life, it's their body. Even if I think it's a silly choice, that's their choice.
Yeah.
I think if more people educated themselves on the actual risks, they would actually make more decisions to seek those rewards. I think a lot more people, if they realize things that they think are scary are not as scary as they think, they'd be like, actually, maybe I'll try this thing because it's actually there's not as much of a risk of this. I think, for example, if people knew that, like, your chances of contracting herpes when someone is not having an outbreak is like 5%-ish, and that's with a condom, because it's a skin-to-skin contact disease. So, like, if they're not having an outbreak, maybe like 5% chance of contraction. If someone knew that, they might actually go like, actually, having sex with this person with herpes is something worth doing. When I learned that, I was like, okay, so if someone were to tell me they have herpes, maybe I don't need to freak out.
Yeah. What do you think is the sexiest part of a woman?
Face. If you don't have a face, I can't fuck you.
Like, at all?
Yeah. There's no face. Like, you don't have a face on your face. It's unattractive to me.
Do you like the facial reactions that you get from women, or you just need a face?
No, I like a great smile. I really like a pretty face,
right?
A nice smile.
You might not be able to handle my smile.
And in terms of like parts of a woman, it just depends on the woman. I'm really not a tits guy or an ass guy. It's more like, right, I like how a woman comes together. Like, I like the entire package.
Yeah.
So on some women, I might like their tits a lot. But on someone else, I might really like their ass, or I might really like how like someone's vulva looks. Like, it really just depends on the person.
Yeah. I love that. Well, I want you to tell everybody like your social media links. I'll also have it in the show notes below.
You can find the Manwhore Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search Manwhore, and that's me. Manwhore is one word, by the way, everybody. That's an odd one I learned I had to share. And then you can find me on Twitter at @TheBillyProcida. That's Procida. And if you're more of a Facebook person, just search Manwhore Podcast.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being here and telling us so much fun stuff about yourself.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I love your podcast, and I hope everyone from Interesting Sex goes and checks out the Manwhore Podcast.
I hope everyone else loves it, too.
Okay. Thank you, Billy. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I hope you invite me to your next sex party.
Sure. Are you and also, so are you going to sell me some car insurance or no?
No, I was just trying to get invited to a sex party.
Oh, yeah, you can come to a sex party. That's easy.
why I was calling.
Oh, yeah. Imagine if telemarketers were actually doing that.
Yeah. And now I wish we didn't talk at all, because then I could have been a stranger. But now we can't be strangers.
Well, yeah, no. Come on up. Join us at Hacienda sometime, or hey, come to Manwhore Con. And and you can come to our little fan whore play party.
Yes. And then I can lick your butt and you wouldn't even know it was me.
Yes, fine. You can lick my asshole. You seem very enthused about it.
I just think it's funny. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Okay,
Take
bye.
care.
I'm going to go to a sex party before I'm 40. Wow, that guy's super cool. I hope you're super cool. Even if you never want to go to a sex party, I think you're cool. Don't forget to check out Billy, the Manwhore Podcast. I've listened to quite a few episodes. 2 thumbs up, 5 stars, totally recommend. Let's take a moment to be grateful for the fact that we get to live in a country and a time and in a place where we get to have sex with who and how we want. And let's send our thoughts and prayers out to those who don't ever get that opportunity. 10% of any proceeds from this podcast will go to help stop sex trafficking. I can't think of anything worse than a child being sex trafficked. Thank you again for your support. I can't wait to see you next Tuesday to find out what the pussy drags in. Boop, ba, boop. Thank you to the band 41 for letting us use this really rad song, 401music.net.
And when I say now, I want you to have sex. Now.
Well, it's a doobity-doo. Yes, it's a doobity-doo. Well, it's a doobity-doo. Yes, it's a doobity-doo. I mean a doobie-doobie-doobie-doobie-doobie-doo.
Yeah!